This easy sourdough bread recipe is so simple that anyone who doesn't even have experience baking can make it. 360 grams of filtered water gets added into a bowl. Zero out your scale. Then we're going to add 100 grams of active bubbly starter. This is a starter that I fed last night using a 1:5 to 5 ratio. That's my preferred method. Then using my dough whisk, I just give everything a mix until you get a milky consistency. After that, zero out your scale again. We're going to start adding 500 grams of bread flour. Here I'm just using Bob's Red Mill Artisan bread flour, but feel free to use whatever kind of bread flour you have. Next, we're going to add 12 grams of fine sea salt, remove our scale, and give everything a really good mix. Here I'm just switching to my dough scraper, going around the bowl and getting any dry remaining bits of flour worked into my dough. Cover with plastic and let rest for 1 hour. After 1 hour, we're going to take the plastic off, get our hands wet with water, reach down under the dough and perform a series of stretch and folds. I like to just go around my bowl a few times, stretching the dough up and folding it down over itself. Cover again and let rest for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we're now going to move on to coil folds. Get your hands wet with water, reach down under the dough, and gently pull upwards, stretching the dough. Be careful not to tear it. Cover again and let rest for 30 minutes. Now we're on to our second coil fold. Again, get your hands wet with water, reach down under the dough, pull upwards gently, and lay back down on top of itself. Cover again and let rest for 30 minutes. This is now our third coil fold. The process of doing coil folds really helps to develop the gluten structure, making sure that we have a nice firm dough and it doesn't fall flat when we go to bake it. Okay, it's been about 3.5 hours since we performed our last coil fold. The dough has doubled and now it's time to shape it. Here I'm just spritzing the counter wet with water, dumping out my dough, and now I'm going to pre-shape it. I'm just using my bench scraper here to gather up all the dough, get it into a nice round ball, and then we're going to let this sit on the counter to bench rest for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I'm just dusting the top with some flour, flipping it over, and now I'm going to shape it into a bowl. I just tug on the outsides, making a square, and then folding the dough on top of itself, one side over the other, folding it up, and now I'm going to shape it into a ball. I'm pushing the dough away from me, and then as I pull it towards me, I'm tucking it under itself. This helps create tension on the top and have a nice firm ball. Now I'm just taking my bench scraper and flipping this upside down into our dusted banneton basket. This is going to get covered and go into the fridge overnight to cold proof. My favorite thing about cold proofing in the refrigerator is you can really bake on your schedule. I could bake this the next day at 9 a.m. or I could bake this the next day at 5 p.m. It's really flexible, and sometimes I've even left my dough in the fridge for up to 3 days. The next day, I'm preheating my oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and you want to leave your Dutch oven in the oven for about an hour. Now it's time to score this and bake it. Flip it upside down, and we're just going to do a simple score on the top to open up this loaf. This is now going to go inside our very hot preheated Dutch oven with the lid on for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, take the lid off, and you're going to want to continue baking for 15 to 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, go ahead and take your bread out of the Dutch oven to cool. I like mine to cool down for about an hour before slicing it. And here is the final result, a beautiful, fluffy, gorgeous loaf of sourdough bread. Enjoy!